What up, and welcome back to another Malazan Book of the Fallen video. I was late uploading this one today because I've been trying to edit my conclusion to Gardens of the Moon down for ages, and it's just too long of a video. So I think I've changed course, and what we're going to do is we're going to cover Chapter 20 today, as well as the winner of my giveaway for the Forge of Darkness. And then later in the week, I'm going to release chapters 21 and 22, and then maybe on like Friday or maybe next Sunday I'll do 23 and 24, and then I'll start going chapter by chapter for Deadhouse Gates, just because I put out a poll on Facebook and Reddit, and most of the responses were for just going chapter by chapter. I'll try and do like a couple shorter videos per week instead of one longer video on Sundays. So bear with me as I try and figure all that out. So yeah, feels good to get back through Gardens of the Moon, and I know that this and actually Deadhouse Gates are two of the like least liked books in the whole series, but I really enjoyed it this time around, and I'm really enjoying Deadhouse Gates too. I'm about 20-30% of the way in, and just really able to pick up on a lot of that nuance and a lot of that seed planning that goes on in the first two books, especially that start to come around later on in the series. So when we left off, we had the 5 dragons that had just swooped down out of Moonspawn, and Crocus and Apsalar, we're picking up with the Fett basically getting ready to get started. This is like their annual end of year, like New Year's celebration that goes like all night to the next day and whatnot. Marulio is worried about their plan, right? Because this is their big night to get their revenge on Lady Simtal and hook their boy Cole back up, and to get him back kind of to his rightful place as counselor and with his estate, etc., etc. Marulio's kind of tripping, right? Because Ralik's the one who's supposed to like ultimately duel with Councilman Orr and take him down so that Simtal loses her like core of support. But Ralik, if you watch my last video, you'll remember that he just is coming off a stab wound, right, from his scrap with Ocelot, and so he's worried if he's gonna have to step in and do the duel himself, or if their plan is like falling to pieces. And we also find out at this time too, just as like a total aside, but somebody named Icarium built that crazy like calendar time peacekeeping thing that keeps track of all the seasons, and everybody's wondering like, how does it know, or how could anybody have predicted all these events so long ago? Just sock that away. The like mechanism is super cool. It kind of reminds me of that like anti-Cathera mechanism that they found like off the coast of like Greece or Turkey or something like that, where it basically has all like the moon phases and like eclipses and seasons and all this crazy stuff. They have like a killer YouTube video. I'll put a link down below on this like crazy mechanism. I don't know why you would care about that, other than it just totally reminds me of like Icarium's thing. But anyway, so while he's kind of out there tripping about his whole plan, he bumps into Krupp. He tells Krupp he basically like knows that Krupp is the eel at this point, and Krupp just like immediately like magics him, and he totally is like forgets what he was just saying. It's like super funny. Then we jump over to Baruch, the High Alchemist's house, and Animander Rake is there, and he's like, yo, I'm cruising to this party with you tonight. There's going to be like this convergence of power. He's pretty sure that that's where the Empress is going to strike, while everybody's kind of together in one place. They do bring up also this Icarium device in there, and Animander Rake's just casually like, oh yeah, I know Icarium. I met him like 800 years ago when I was like scrapping with this other god named Osirk. Maybe just sock those names away for later. And then basically while they're chatting, Mamot, Crocus's uncle, who's also like a crazy mage and part of the Tarud Cabal, wakes up and goes, oh, it's all gravy. He didn't even know like that I was asleep in that and trapped in that Jaghut Tyrant. He didn't even notice me. He's way out on the Gadrobi Hills. We got like a couple days. Don't trip. Everything is kosher. I think he says something about Crocus, if I remember. He mentions his nephew or says something about Crocus, and then Baruch is finally able to like connect the dots that Crocus is the coin bearer, and that Oppen's in the game and all of that stuff. And my Mott's like, yeah, that's cool. He's like, I've known about that the whole time. He's like, I knew Oppen was like, using my nephew and all this stuff, and that you were out there trying to figure stuff out. Then we see Lorn finally show up, right? She rolls up basically to find the bridge burners playing games. Like, Fiddler's not like a mage, right? So he doesn't really do like readings from the deck of dragons, but he always like, creates these random games as if they were going to sit down and be playing a poker game, but he uses the deck of dragons, and he's kind of like an adept. And so he's doing a game. He just like, they're totally like nonplussed when she walks in and like, oh yeah, we totally knew you were coming, like not even phased. He's like, what up, Adjunct Lorn? Like the second she walks in, he's like, here, sit down and play some cards with us. She's like, where's Whiskeyjack? And they're like, oh yeah, he's out and about. They're like, oh, just sit down and play some games with us. And they like go through this whole, basically like, it's kind of like a reading from Fiddler, where sees like stacks of gold coin. He sees first, Animander Rake. He sees Sorry. He also sees Hood and the Captain of Light, who, let me know down in the comments if you know who the Captain of Light was. I still don't totally get that part of it. He deals Lorn this like inverted throne, that kind of means that they're dead. There's like 10 coins or whatever, and that is essentially how much they get sent to their family when they die, right? So as bridge burners, as Marines, if they died, then their family's going to get that amount of coin. So he's like, yeah, we're basically dead. And then like Whiskeyjack rolls in, and right as he does, I think it's either Hedge or Mallet puts down the orb, which is like true sight and judgment, which just kind of goes right along with Whiskeyjack straight up being a G. And then like Lorn pops up and immediately tries to like take over the squad, and he tells her basically everything that's gone on. Like, she's like, what have you done? Like, you haven't achieved the goal. And he's like, dude, Animander Rake like came in and basically took out the whole Assassins Guild so that we couldn't put out a contract. That's like why we haven't been able to take out the Tarud Cabal yet. He also tells her basically about Surat and how they've been like getting chased by Callum and Ben, have been getting chased by a Tistandi, mage assassin. And she's like, yeah, bull. Totally doesn't believe him. She's like, you need to do all this stuff, and starts trying to call shots. And he's like, all right, what are you gonna have me do? He tells him about like how he's gonna infiltrate the guard at the Fete and basically be in a position to take out the Tarud Cabal themselves once everybody's all together. She's like, how the hell are you gonna do that? And he's like, yeah, because we got a Barghast, right? Like trots, and everybody wants to be able to like parade around these big, strong, crazy barbarian guards. And so they're gonna, weasel their way onto the Fete's guard for Lady Simtal to try and do it themselves. And so basically Lorn has to like grudgingly like admit to herself, she doesn't tell him, but like, oh my god, he's got his together, like this is actually a good plan. Like he's not intimidated by my title and me just like walking in as the adjunct and kind of in his pants. And so, he essentially is able to like punk her. Even at the end, he's like, yeah, why don't you like go out through this like side of the building where no one can see you exit? And she's like, no, I'll go out through the front door, because, and totally has her like bravado, which was like such an epic play too, because that's actually, he didn't want her to go through that path, because like Quick Ben and Callum were hiding back there. And so, but he just knew that like by suggesting that to her, that she would do like the exact opposite, just because she's such like a spiteful child, basically. It was pretty epic.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Then we got Surat, who's still out there like stalking Crocus and Absalar. She's on like super high alert, right? Because if you remember last time, she got that old invisible stiff arm and totally got knocked out, even when she had like all of her wards up and everything. Basically, it doesn't even matter, right? Because then right as she's about to take Crocus out again, she gets a knife point right to her throat. And they basically just tell her straight up, like, look, leave Crocus Younghand alone. Our boss, who can f*** up your boss, tells you to back off, so back off, right? And she like grudgingly like kind of has to concede that like, he might not be able to like totally dominate Animander Rake, but whoever this guy is, like there's obviously a respect level there where she's like, all right. She's like super pissed, but what can she really say? And it wasn't totally clear to me on my first like time reading the books, but that this was like the Crimson Guard and Cowl specifically, who was sent by Kaladin Brood to make sure that that they weren't successful in taking out the Coin Bearer. And so Cowl is like one of these like super crazy figures from the Crimson Guard of like legend, right? And so we see that there are like at least some humans out there who can like kind of go toe to toe, and we kind of have seen that with Quick Ben and Tayshren and stuff a little bit. Tattersail, obviously, that was something I wasn't totally connecting the dots on the Crimson Guard Kaladin Brood piece, and this guy Cowl is actually straight up gnarly. Then we finally catch up with the Jaghut race, who's like coming in from out where his barrow was. We get a lot of like internal monologue that just shows like what a sick, disgusting person he is, like morally, right? He talked about, I think, how his like mother was his first like conquest or whatever, where he like totally destroyed her, about how he ultimately ended up killing her regardless, right? He talked about how he subjugated, you know, hundreds of thousands and millions of IMAS, and they were like left to do all their ruling and thought they were in charge, but he was just like kind of in the back pulling the strings as this tyrannical ruler, and how he's like super pumped to be able to get back out there and start like subjugating people again. A little bit psycho. He basically like metaphorically like reaches down into the earth with his magic and feels like Burn sleeping down there, and just straight up like spears her in the side and like makes her bleed and shit. Yeah, just a really sick guy for like no reason other than just like, you know, he's like the kind of guy who was like as a kid like ripped the heads off little birds and stuff like that. And he's basically like, I wonder if I should just like wake her up completely and just completely destroy this world. He's like, no, I'm just gonna like injure her. And that actually ends up being like important a lot later on in the series, right? Because Burn's injured now. And we kind of see those 5 dragons roll up that Crocus and Apsalar saw from Krull's Belfry. He actually tries to like woo him and win him over, and he's like, look, Animander Rake doesn't appreciate you. He's like, I would elevate you. You'd have whatever you want. You'd be like my most prized like servants, right? And pretty much like promises the world. He's like, but if you don't accept my offer, he's like, I'm gonna have to you up. He's like, I can't kill you, which is interesting, right? He doesn't think he can actually like kill these dragons, but he's like, I will you up though. And this is where you get to see basically what a badass Solana is and those dragons, but also like how scary and gnarly race actually is the Jaghut Tyrant, right? Because they like unleash all this gnarly attack. They're like, yeah, offer rejected, and they just start attacking him, right? And they're like throwing all kinds of gnarly magic at him. It's like ripping his body to shreds. He's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll get a new body like later on once I get into the city. He's like throwing gnarly magic and just really able to like F up a couple of these dragons, and because they basically like burned him to a crisp, right? They came in freaking launching fire and gnarly magic at him, and it like shreds his whole body. But he's actually able to like totally bring Solana down to the ground and pretty much F her up pretty good. And a couple of the other ones, he's like super effed up himself. One of the dragons like picks him up and starts trying to like take him back to Moonspawn or something. And he's able to like break free and basically falls to the ground and just like shatters his body, but still just like gets up and like carries on to Darujistan. So yeah, dude obviously can just like do some serious shit and like not die from it and unleash, I mean, taking on 5 dragons and basically like taking them to a draw essentially, and then being able to get up and go, you know, continue on your way is yeah, that's what they're up against. All right, so that wraps up chapter 20. Lots of action in this one and lots of stuff happening, so let's get into that giveaway real quick. All right, I went through all these comments on my video page all the way down to the bottom. Actually, there's a lot of super cool subs who are like, I already have the book, so I'm not going to enter to give other people a chance to win. There was like 3 or 4 people who did that, so you guys are all champions. But I popped all 10 of you into a spreadsheet right there, and now we're just going to pick that winner. Alexa, pick a random number between 1 and 10.
Your random number between 1 and 10 is 5.
5.
And that would be David Parnell. Awesome, man. I hope you enjoy the book, and thank everybody else so much for playing. Hopefully we can get some other free stuff to get. Well, I didn't get this for free. I bought it, but hopefully we can get you guys some free stuff and get you pumped on that series and get you reading Malazan, commenting, hit me up in the Reddit and on the Facebook. So yeah, congrats and thanks to everybody. So yeah, David, hit me up on my email, or you can PM me on Facebook or the Reddit or wherever you joined. I think you were from Facebook. So yeah, just shoot me a line, or you can email me. My email's in the description down below. Let me know your address and I'll get that book over to you in the mail probably on Monday.
Yeah, that giveaway was a lot of fun. Hopefully you liked the book, and hopefully you guys had fun on that. If we get more opportunities to do so, I'd love to just give more stuff away and get you guys into the series and get you guys books or stuff like that. So channel goals, I think, one day is to be able to do more stuff. If you want to donate something to some readers or a map or some art you made or whatever, let me know, and I'm happy to give it away on the channel. So we'll go ahead and leave this video there for chapter 20. We'll see you in a couple of days for 21 and 22, and then next weekend for 23 and 24 to just wrap it completely up. So thank you so much for watching. If you like it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And until then, happy reading.